I've helped over 250,000 real estate agents through my tech platforms and thousands and thousands of mortgage lenders too. And when I look at community, what I see is that as human beings, we feel more disconnected now than ever. Like we're more connected technically, right? Because we have more connections online in this kind of fake digital world, but yet in the real world, people feel more disconnected than ever.
Welcome to the Real Freedom Show, where we inspire you to pursue your passion to gain time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. Let's get some real freedom together. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Real Freedom. That's real estate leverage freedom, where we talk about different ways that people can get into, gain time and financial freedom through different opportunities in real estate, whether you're coming from outside of real estate looking to get into a side hustle, or whether you're inside of real estate looking to build your income, maybe for retirement or passive income in the future. This is a spot for you. If you want to go check us out, go to our website, freedomthroughrealestate.com. That's freedomthroughrealestate.com. A lot of great resources, videos, tools. All of our past episodes are on there for you to kind of find a path, find somebody that you connect with, find somebody that has a story or parts of a story that inspire you to be able to build your financial freedom through real estate. That's what we're here for. So today we've got Brandon Barnum. Brandon is the CEO of HOA.com and also known as the King of Referrals, author of the best-selling book, Raving Referrals. And we are here to have a great conversation just talking about communities and the future of real estate. And so we're so excited to have Brandon here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you having me. This is going to be fun.
Well, before we get started, why don't you just share a little bit about your background and we'll go from there.
Okay, yeah, I came up in the real estate world. My mother was a real estate broker, and I got started. Honestly, I found out in college you don't have to be married to have a kid, and so I had a son at the age of 22, and at 24 I was a single dad, and I was only making 20 grand a year at that point. So I had to make a change. I ended up getting into the mortgage industry and had somebody mentor me in the art and science of what I now call raving referrals, and I was able to 10x my income from $20,000 a year to $200,000 a year within about 18 months. And so real estate is the area that I love. There's so many opportunities for people to create financial freedom through real estate, more so than really any other asset class, in my opinion. And I'm just excited to be here and really talk about the future of community, because this is where we spend most of our time, especially now that most people live and work at home. And so, real estate is such a powerful asset creator and wealth builder that I'm excited for this conversation.
Before we kind of get into the kind of the community aspect, would love to hear on the mortgage side. You talked about being able to really help people with the largest asset purchase for many of them in their lives, being able to, even if it's just their primary home, right? Building wealth, being able to earn some equity as homes appreciate, financing rental properties, that sort of thing. Would love to hear just a little bit of your perspective or a little bit of, kind of your experience in being able to help people with that, because the mortgage process is such an important piece of real estate to be able to acquire properties.
Well, and one of the reasons that I love real estate in this investment class is because through mortgages, you can put down 10%, and now you're gaining on appreciation on an asset that's 10 times what you've actually invested into the property. So if you're buying a $500,000 house and you put down $50,000, you're gaining appreciation on an asset worth $500,000. And so there's nothing like it. I bought my first house at 24 years old. And, that house that I paid $110,000 for, I sold a decade later for $185,000. And so, there's not many assets that you can have that opportunity while you're also taking advantage of and living in the asset itself. So I've had so many clients back when I was in the mortgage business. I saw so many people build incredible wealth through real estate. And I would have investors that would have 5, 10, 20, 50 properties that they would manage, and the wealth that they were able to create is unparalleled.
Well, that's one of the things that I tell people is, like, in your example there, a $50,000 purchase, let's say over a year, 2 or 3, $500,000 purchase, goes up to $550,000, that lender is not going to be like, hey, now that you're selling this property for a $50,000 profit, we'd actually like part of that back, or we'd like you to share some of that with us. Like, that's the beauty of, is it, like you mentioned, putting 10% down, $50,000 down, being able to make $50,000 in equity, and that bank or that lender is not going to ask for that, some of that profit. They're not asking to split profits or let's go halvesies together. No, you get all of that back. And so that's where real estate investing, or even I should just say purchasing real estate, long term. Now, we bought in a market where right before the crash, and so we were underwater for a while. That stuff happens, but we held on to the property, and over time that stuff tends to work its way back. So talk to us a little bit about HOA.com and kind of your future, your vision for real estate into the next generation.
Well, and I want to add one thing, Mike, and then let's do
Yeah,
that. But
sure.
you think about some of the different types of properties that you can buy. And these days, you not only have the long-term rentals, but you've got short-term rentals. I was just with a buddy of mine last night, and he's got a property that he fixed up, right? A fix and flip, but instead of flipping it, he flipped it into an Airbnb. And he was just telling me that he's got it rented. He made $4,500 last month just on short-term rentals. Right. So he's got a property that, yeah, he put some capital into the property initially, but now it's a cash engine. It's like an ATM for him. So there's different types of asset classes. The other one that I think is really interesting and underutilized is vacation properties. How many of us love to go on these expensive vacations every year? Well, what if you could buy a property? I've got another buddy who bought a property over in Hawaii, and it's a condo beachfront. He and his wife go there every year, and they spend a couple of weeks, a couple times a year. And when he's not there, it's rented out and making money for him. So if you think about your lifestyle, and these days there's ways that you can earn income and cash flow off of your properties that are new, that a lot of folks that have been in the game a long time haven't necessarily considered. So that's one of the reasons I love real estate. There's just so many opportunities. But anything you want to say there before we talk about the future of community?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think for a lot of people, you may see stories of these investors that have dozens and dozens of properties or hundreds of doors or whatever that might be, but it doesn't have to look that way. It can just be as simple as, I have my property, and yeah, maybe I pick up a vacation property, and so that momentum continues to build once you get started doing something. And so even if it's just going from renter to homeowner, right, that's a huge first step. And then that momentum can build off of that. And so for people listening that may feel a little bit overwhelmed, like, hey, I don't have the resources to pick up a property every year, or whatever these, hot trends that real estate investors have, it doesn't have to be that. It's just, what's the next most logical step for you? And that momentum continues to build. So yeah, that's all I was going to add.
And I would say too, like if you're not yet a real estate investor and you want to be, it's something that you're interested in, I think the real estate investment groups that take place in every community are a great place to get plugged into, because you can go scout for opportunities. And even if you don't have cash to put in the deal yourself, you can find an opportunity where somebody else will be your backer and your partner, and now you can get in the game and start making some money, but also grow your education. So, I really applaud what you're doing with your site too, because it's so important for people to have the education. And the scariest deal is your first deal, right?
For sure.
Because you don't know what you don't know, but you just got to get in the game, man. Get past your fear, get somebody that can coach and mentor you and partner up so that you can get in the game and start changing your life.
Are you looking to get started or scale in real estate investing but don't know your next step? Are you overwhelmed thinking about finding deals, analyzing deals, doing due diligence, and managing properties on top of it? Go ahead and push the easy button and invest with us. Real estate investing is what we do full time. We've done dozens of deals with hundreds of doors. We have the knowledge and experience to handpick the best deals that most investors can't find. We've got large off-market deals all the time where you can hopefully find returns and economies of scale that you just can't find on your own. The best thing is it's 100% passive to you for less capital than you put down trying to acquire a property on your own. Don't let this year go by where you don't make the leap, add to your portfolio, or you just sit in analysis by paralysis. To find out more, visit freedomthroughrealestate.com and click on invest. You can book a call and learn more there. So get to scaling your portfolio now with us by your side. Tell us a little bit now about HOA.com and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so at HOA.com, we're creating unity through community, as you see behind me if we're on video, but it's really the future of community. When I look at the world, I've been in this real estate game for 28 years now. I've helped over 250,000 real estate agents through my tech platforms and thousands and thousands of mortgage lenders too. And when I look at community, what I see is that as human beings, we feel more disconnected now than ever. Like we're more connected technically, right? Because we have more connections online in this kind of fake digital world, but yet in the real world, people feel more disconnected than ever. So we're on a mission to change that. Yeah, we're bringing AI to HOAs and we're on a mission to create more better transparency because a lot of homeowners and investors feel like they pay a lot of money into their HOA dues and they don't know where it goes. So we've got to improve the transparency. We've got to improve the communication from the HOA board down to the community so they know what's going on. And then also the politics and the policing are two other issues that we're out to solve. The politics, people feel like the board member thinks he's the president of the United States and operates this little fiefdom, and then the policing, it feels like there's rules for thee but not for me. So we're on a mission to change all of that. But one of the most important things that we're focusing on is this whole unity through community mission and vision. And what we love doing is helping communities come together so that people actually know their neighbors. So we have a platform for professionals who serve homeowners, and realtors, for example, will do community impact events. They'll partner up with the boards and they'll do a ice cream social or a barbecue, or we have about 100 different campaigns that are turnkey, plug and play. We've got the guides that walk you through everything you need to do. And recently I got to go attend one of the barbecues that was happening near my house, and a
Mm-hmm.
real estate agent and a mortgage lender had put this on. They had done it on a Saturday afternoon and brought out about 50 of the homeowners in the community that they were serving. And it was so cool because when I showed up and I'm, seeing the moms listening to the music, just dancing, laughing, having a good time. The dads are playing kickball. The kids are playing, sorry, dads are playing cornhole. The kids were playing kickball and basketball. But the coolest part for me is I looked at every single person in the park and not one person was on their cell phone. Everybody was just connected. And, that's the world that we grew up in, right? And so that's what we want to
Mm-hmm.
bring that back to. So people actually get to know their neighbors and do life with the people that they live next door to.
Well, and yeah, regardless of where you live, whether you're a renter, whether you're a homeowner, whether you're an investor, whatever that might look like, whatever type of investment, yeah, we can all agree about creating community with people. And then too, like I think about associations, there's so many good things that happen as a result of having a good association. Like you mentioned, I think a lot of times we hear the horror stories, we don't hear the good things that happen. I think about my first purchase, was a townhouse in a complex. We had an association, and for me, there was a lot of value of knowing that the exterior of the property is taken care of, the roof's taken care of. As a homeowner, like a new homeowner, I don't have to worry about that stuff as much. We had a very effective association when we had some ice dams that had built up. The association takes care of that, right? They hired it out, took care of it, nothing I had to do. They made sure that a lot of the regular maintenance stuff was taken care of, snow removal, fantastic job. And so I think we maybe hear just that small snippet of issues that come up, but yeah, the HOA is fantastic. We would have community events together, and so there's just a lot of really great things that can happen. And I think to be successful in what you're doing, you want to be able to create good community. You want to have good neighborhood relationships wherever you're living, because it's a whole lot better to be able to be nice to each other and to be able to get along with each other than bickering and arguing with each other over stuff that happens, right?
That's right. Absolutely. And the thing about homes in HOAs too is they are worth 5 to 6% more on average. So as an investor, that's a smart bet. right? You know that the community is going to be well kept up and there's not going to be pink houses next doors and trucks on blocks. So you're going to have a place that people are going to want to live in, and that increases the appreciation faster.
So I'm just curious, like from somebody inside of real estate, this opportunity, came to you to be able to work in this role. What were some of the things for you? Because I know there's a lot of people inside of real estate that are looking for great jobs and great opportunities. And for you, obviously, this is a huge opportunity. But talk about from a human perspective, as Brandon working in his previous job, working in his previous opportunity, something like this comes along. What is it that was really appealing to you for this type of role?
Well, the full disclosure, I created the whole company, right? So I'm the founder, it's my vision, and I had sold, this is my 10th tech platform that I've built over 28 years. So I've been in this space a long time. Created an AI platform back in 2019, back when we had to hire an IBM Watson engineer to create the code because there was no open AI that you could just plug and play an API. And anyway, so it's been fun and fascinating. We created this company as thehomeowneralliance.com initially, and our whole vision was to connect homeowners to professionals that they can trust. And along the way, I was able to acquire the domain HOA.com, and that changed everything. Because when you think of Home Owner Alliance, it's about helping homeowners bond together and then have bulk purchasing power. We're out to create the AAA for homeowners, right? Because you think about AAA, you call AAA if something goes wrong. Well, that's what we want to provide. And then also you're able to get deals and discounts because of all of the bulk buying power. So that was our original mission and vision. And along the way, we learned a lot of lessons. We acquired the HOA.com domain, and now we're bringing AI to HOAs because about 80% of what HOA boards manage can be automated through AI these days. And everybody's hearing it. AI is changing the world. It absolutely is. There are industries that won't exist 5, 10 years from now. I'm convinced of it. But the reality, the good news is it's going to free us all up to be able to do what we love to do and have more time where we're not doing the routine tasks and we get to be more creative as human beings, which is what we're created for. So that's, for me, I created this future and that's what I love about it. It wasn't somebody else's dream that I stepped into. I believe that everybody needs to have a vision for their life. I think you should be doing life by design. Whereas a lot of people live life by default. They don't necessarily have a vision for what they're here to create and do, and they're just going through the motion, and that's okay. But I would suggest if you're listening right now and you haven't already done it, create 101 goals for yourself. What is it that where do you want to be 3 years, 5 years from now? What experiences do you want to have? What people you want to meet? And I learned this from my mentor, Mark Victor Hansen. I was just with him yesterday. He's the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And he challenged me to do this 21 years ago, and it shaped my life because I got crystal clear. These days, I have hundreds of goals, and I have them all written, and I have goals through the year 2050 and everything I want to do and accomplish and experience. And once you do that, and you put it down and it's written, and you start really putting your spirit into it, it's amazing what happens. So that's one of the biggest things is live life by design, get clear on what you want to create, and you'll see it happen quickly.
We blew the roof off of this conversation. Now I'm excited to talk more about this because number one, you mentioned your 10th tech platform, launching tech platforms, and then creating something out of nothing, right? Seeing a vision of what you saw, an opportunity out there in the market and being able to capitalize on that. I shouldn't say capitalize because that's maybe not the right word, because I think that sometimes people see that as to get their own benefit, but it's not. It's about helping others and creating something more, something bigger than yourself. So excited to hear that. And I think for people listening to hear 10 different tech platforms you've gone through that you've done, you've been in multiple different types of roles, and then creating this opportunity, seeing something in the market and saying, hey, I want to be able to go create a change myself. That's amazing. So I was actually an entrepreneurship major in college quite a while ago, but at the same time, like it's seeing that's creating something out of nothing, or putting something there that wasn't there previous. That's so fascinating to me.
My first Well, my best college professor, I have a marketing degree, and he said, you've got to look at the future with new eyes and see the opportunities and create the future you want to live in. And that's so true. And my first tech platform was back in 1997. I was in the mortgage business. And I'm like, how am I going to stand out from every other mortgage lender? And at that point, real estate wasn't very much online. There weren't most of the big real estate companies didn't even have a website. If they did and they had listings, it would be one exterior photo. And I said, this is silly. I want to be able to sit at home in my underwear and shop online for homes. And so that's what I created. It was kind of an early version of Zillow back in Portland, Oregon, where I lived. It was called the Portland Online Home Buyers Guide, and I would feature different listings, and it allowed me to add value to the realtors that I wanted to win business from. So I gave first, which is a core concept that I teach in the Raving Referral system, is give first, right? Add value to everybody you can. And through that process, I attracted buyers I was able to refer back to them. And once I did that, then I was playing a game that nobody else was playing. So that was my first tech platform. Then I created cyber mortgages and on and on. And my last was called refer.com. And we built that up to 5 million members and 250,000 realtors, and then exited that in 2019. And that's when we started the Homeowner Alliance, which became HOA.com. So it's amazing when you can have a vision and you can take it from nothing. It's an idea in your mind, but you pour your heart and your soul and you're passionate at you socialize it, you share it with other people, and you got to have great mentors, people that can guide you. But nowadays, it's easier, cheaper, and faster than ever to create technology. Like there's so many ways that you can do it quickly and you can be up and running in 30, 60, 90 days, where 28 years ago we had custom code everything. So it's a fun world to live in. And if you're listening now and you've got an idea, go make it happen.
I think back to my first time full time in real estate was 2014. I joined a large residential team. It was a team that had been around for a while. And when they first started, to be able to go view homes, you went to the brokerage office and went and looked through a big book, right? That's how you found
Right.
out
That's
about
right.
properties. And so you just think about like speed to purchase now. There's so many things that happen, even just being able to go to a portal, upload your documents, right, from a lending process versus having to like print out copies and things like that. Like we are able to do so much more so quickly. And yeah, I think when you mentioned about, AI taking over the world and changing a lot of things, we naturally might feel fear towards that, or like you mentioned, jobs going away as a result of it. But the reality is it opens up and unlocks so much more potential. Even you had mentioned, HOAs, 80% of the work that they do can be replaced by technology. What can you now spend time doing that you didn't enjoy doing because AI is kind of unlocked those opportunities? There's a lot of cool stuff. And so I think for people that are hesitant towards AI technology, we should be talking about what more can you do now because AI is taking care of the stuff that maybe you didn't want to do anyhow, right?
Well said. I mean, that's exactly it, right? If you could do anything in the world, what would it be? Right? If you could spend your day doing what you love, what you felt like you were created to do, what would that be? I think a lot of people work in jobs that they hate, and maybe they invest in real estate thinking one day they'll break free of it. Well, what if you started that now? What if you broke free now and really get intentional about living the life that you want to live? And it's out there. There's no reason you have to wait. You just have to, number one, get clear on what it is that you want, write it down, and then go after it. And you can change your life instantly, but it takes that vision first and foremost. You've got to know what you want. I ask people all the time, what do you want? And I'm amazed how often I hear people say, well, what I don't want is. And I'm like, I didn't ask you what you don't. Whatever you put energy into is going to expand. If you put energy into what you don't want, you're going to get more of what you don't want. So focus on what you do want, get crystal clear on it, spend time every day. I have an app where I've used an AI to create my future self that speaks to me from the future and talks about the life that I've created in the future. And I start my day that way. I've already listened to it. It's about 7 minutes. I've already listened to it twice today. And so that future pulls you forward and you design your life. So question is, what life are you designing?
Not just simply doing the things that I don't want to do means that I'm doing things that I am okay with doing, instead of creating that life that I want. It's just, here's what I don't want to do. Let me tell you about the things I don't want to do and just do the other stuff, right?
Well, and figure out what you do want to do, right? Again, if money were no object, what would you be doing? Start from that place and just allow yourself to dream. And sometimes it's for the first time because I think people always look from where they're at instead of where they could be. So take the blinders off, think about where you want to be, and start from that question of if I had a magic wand, what life would I live?
I know just because AI is such a hot topic and we kind of touched on it a little bit. You had mentioned about past experience tech platforms. Obviously, you've talked about AI helping in your HOA stuff. So talk about for somebody that's going through it, implementing AI into your business, it into what you're sharing with your communities that you're working in. How do you go through that process of getting AI to be able to help you? I'd love to just kind of hear your journey a little bit here of how you've been doing that.
Yeah, there's so many ways that AI can help you. I mean, starting to write copy, for example, for a website. If you have any question, ask an AI, whether it's ChatGPT or Grok or whatever engine you want to use. I was just talking to a buddy last night, and I had introduced him to AI about 60 days ago, and he was really reluctant. He's like, "No, I don't know. That's not for me." But I was just asking him about his business, and he was telling me some of the challenges. He's like, "Man, I've got to write this employee handbook." I said, "Oh, really? Okay, tell me about that. What is it that you want to do?" "Oh, I need to write an employee handbook for such and such." So as we're talking, I literally used AI to create the employee handbook, and I emailed it to him within about 60 seconds. And I said, "Why don't you take a look at what I just sent you that's in your inbox?" Well, it opened his eyes, it opened his mind, and it changed everything. And I was with him last night. He's like, "Oh my gosh, this has changed my life. I use AI for everything now." And he showed me he had the Chat GPT mobile app, and he was talking to his agent that he's trained all about his business. So that's one of the things that you can do. You can custom program and guide your AI agent to really understand your company, your business. That's what I do, is it understands what we're doing. We're using, let me tell you what we're using AI with on the community side.
Hmm.
We're taking phone calls from homeowners. Our AI knows all the CCNRs, the bylaws, all the rules and regulations within the communities. It understands the architectural review process. And when a homeowner has a question because they want to do an improvement to their house and they're not sure where to go, they want to talk to somebody, especially if they're over 40 or over 50. They want to have a phone call, a conversation. Well, our AI will actually talk that homeowner through the conversation. We've taken over 10,000 phone calls so far. On average, those calls last 3 minutes and 39 seconds. So the homeowner is able to get the answer they want quickly. 78% of the time, it doesn't even require a human being to get involved and help that homeowner. Right? The AI is able to solve it. We'll text them links to the page they need to go to fill out the form, to make the request. And what that does is, number one, it improves the satisfaction for the homeowner. They get the answers that they want quickly, so it reduces their frustration. They're happy campers. Number two, it reduces the load on the HOA board or the community management company, because the board is all volunteers and the community managers are overworked and underappreciated. So now we're reducing the demand on them. Oftentimes they're not taking the calls live and they're not answering the emails quickly, which leads to the homeowners being frustrated. So we solve that problem for everyone using AI, and that's here in early 2025. Imagine where that's going to be 3 years from now.
I mean, even 12 months ago, just thinking about how far we've come in 12 months, you kind of look back and you see like, oh my gosh, there's been so much that's been implemented already with AI, so many ways that people have used it, and we're just beginning. It's that learning is going to happen faster and faster and faster and faster as we go. And
That's right.
so, what took 12 months now, 12 months into the future, we're going to be 10x ahead of where we were in terms of AI or even more. And so, yeah, it's exciting to hear about the future possibilities.
We're on an exponential curve and it's only going to accelerate faster. And so if you've been resistant, if you're listening right now and you haven't started using AI yet, do it. Ask the question. I was just with my mentor, Mark Victor Hansen, yesterday, and he has a book called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And this book is all about asking yourself, asking others, and asking God, right? And when I was with he and his beautiful wife Crystal yesterday, and we were having this conversation about the power of asking for what we want, because that's the gap for most people is they're not asking themselves the right questions. You want to ask for the life you want rather than the life that you don't want. And when you start asking, the answer comes to you. Well, you can use AI to ask a lot of the questions, and it's amazing how quickly you'll get the answers. More and more people are starting to trust AI, right? And so the adoption rate is going to increase. All businesses are realizing that you've got to have AI infused throughout your company, or you're going to be less relevant in the future because it is increasing customer care and satisfaction, improving communication, making business easier for the owners, and really improving everything.
Gosh, there's so many, so many great things, Brandon, that we've talked about. We could continue to talk about for a long time in the future. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing the journey that we took in just a few short minutes. For people that want to reach out to you, that want to learn more about HOA.com, want to learn more about what you're doing. We didn't even really discuss Raving Referrals, your book, but tell us, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so obviously, if you are an HOA board member or you live in an HOA, you can go to HOA.com and find everything that you need there. If you're looking to connect with me, you can go to brandonbarnum.com. You'll see my book. I have 4 different books on referrals, one generic and then one for mortgage professionals, realtors, and dentists. So if you're one of those professionals, then come take a look at that. And go to brandonbarnum.com. You'll see some other tools and stuff that I like to give away and impact people with.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Exciting to hear what you're doing. Excited to see where you continue to grow in the future. So best of luck to you as HOA continues to grow and the rest of what you're doing.